Hello again, RoyZesch.REALTOR here with Coldwell Banker Legacy in San Angelo. Today I'm going to continue with the series on rural properties. Today I want to talk about mineral rights. So a lot of people know this, a lot of people don't. There's going to be some stuff thrown out that you don't know, but just want to kind of explain the overview of what mineral rights are and how they differ from your surface rights and how they can affect you as a surface owner. Just an interesting tidbit before we get into this. Do you know the United States is virtually the only country on the planet where private citizens can own minerals? There's a small portion of Canada where this is also true, but it's amazing the difference our country has compared to everywhere else in the world, that in the United States that private citizens can own those mineral rights and the production that comes from them and all those kind of things. So that's kind of interesting as you think about this process. So again, many people already know this, but you have to understand that in the United States, mineral rights and the surface ownership are separate. Those are two separate entities. You can own the surface, you can own the minerals beneath that surface, or you can own both, but they're not necessarily automatically go together, okay? So it can throw off all kinds of interesting things. Just picture a rancher that has a 100,000 acre ranch, and he decides to pass it down to his kids. So he's got 4 kids, so he divides it. Each of the kids gets 25,000 acres of the surface, okay? But instead of giving them each just the minerals under that, what is really kind of commonly done is he will give those 4 kids an undivided interest in the minerals under the whole 100,000. So each of the children has a surface of 25,000 acres, but they have 25% of 100,000 acres as far as mineral rights, which kind of really is interesting. It's good because you can't divide land perfectly, but in this case you're able to divide the minerals perfectly evenly between the children. So it gets kind of interesting though. So then someone comes along and buys from the Northwest tract from that child, and that child the seller there could convey those minerals that he owns. He could convey his 25% of the 100,000, or he could convey nothing of those minerals. Again, those are totally separate things that are negotiated separately. They're separate properties in effect in that mineral interest. So say the oldest, the northwest corner, decides that he wants to convey the minerals that he owns when he sells the property. So now the new surface owner of that northwest corner of this 100,000 acres owns 25% along with the other 3 children of the former owner, and they all own undivided 25% interest in the oil under the minerals under that whole place, the whole 100,000 acres. So, but then the one in the northeast corner decides to sell, and they decide to retain all the minerals, which again they can do. So they retain all the minerals, but they sell the surface. So now the surface owner in the northwest corner is a non-family member that has that surface and then has a quarter of the minerals under the whole 100,000 acres. In the northeast corner, you have someone who owns the surface, but none of the minerals under any of the property, because that seller decided to keep the minerals. So you can see how this can get complicated in a hurry. You have multiple generations, the property split, maybe they divide the property in 2, but one person keeps the minerals under all of it. It can get amazingly complicated. It's interesting to me, particularly around, in areas where there's not any mineral production, oil and gas production. Typically there's other minerals available, but generally around here, that's what you look at. There's not much production. A lot of times people still won't convey the minerals. If they sell a piece of property, they will keep the minerals, especially if it's been in the family a long time or whatnot. But a lot of times, as these have been divided and stuff, no one really knows what they have, what they own and are going to sell. So you'll see a property listed for sale, and you'll see something like the owner will convey all the minerals he owns, believed to be 25% or something like that. And you're like, did you not even know what you own? But to actually find out what you own takes a lot of title research to go back and figure out, at what point were the minerals conveyed, because again, they can be conveyed separately from the surface property. So all that just kind of explains how minerals are. A lot of people, when you're buying property, it's very difficult to buy minerals. There are places you can buy them, people that are willing to sell them. But just kind of explains a little bit of that. The other thing you need to know, if you're going to buy surface property, and if you don't get the minerals, which is very common, rare to be able to get 100% of the minerals under a piece of property you buy, but it does happen. you may get a portion of it. But what you have to understand is, in the state of Texas in particular, that the mineral estate is a dominant estate. What that means from a legal point of view is that for them to go in, if you're the surface owner and someone else owns the minerals underneath your property, then you cannot keep them from going in to explore and develop, produce those minerals. So if they want to go in and do seismographic work to see if it's worth leasing, they lease a mineral, the mineral interest, or they lease what's under your property basically to someone else to come in and explore for oil and gas, drill wells, those kind of things. You virtually, in today's world in Texas at least, cannot stop that, but you can collect damages on it. So if they damage your property to an extent, and every road or well location, tank, battery, all those kind of things will inflict some amount of damage, and then you can negotiate and even sue if you have to. If you get unsuccessful in working out something with them, you can sue to actually be paid properly for what they've damaged to your property. So that's something to be aware of. It's particularly if it's a small property, you don't control it, and someone comes in and drills you get an 1.5 acre property or something out in the country, but you don't own the minerals, so they come in and that's where they decide to put a oil field location. Well, a lot of times those are bigger than 1.5 acres. So it's kind of interesting how it all has to work, because they can literally come put one 100 yards from your house under some circumstances. Again, there's ways you can help a little bit. And today with the horizontal drilling, the directional drilling and stuff like that, they're able to better take care of treating the surface owners right while still developing the minerals. But it is important to understand, if you don't own the minerals, that you cannot prohibit them from coming in and developing and exploring those minerals. That can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it, but it has produced what is the superabundance of oil and gas that's available in the state of Texas today. Is because of that law being there to protect the mineral owners from a surface owner coming in and saying you can't do anything under my property. So because of that, I don't know if you know this as well, that the known oil and gas reserves in the Permian Basin of Texas, just the Permian Basin, not anywhere else in Texas, the known reserves in that area today are larger than the rest of the world combined. Okay, Middle East, nothing else, even all those countries together cannot touch what's known reserves in the Permian Basin today. Now, the interesting part about that is most of that was not known reserves 5 or 10 years ago. 5 or 10 years ago, we were to peak oil, we were going to produce, the experts said, and it was all going downhill, and we were going to have to find other solutions. So oil and gas are going to be with us a long time. They have some disadvantages, and maybe at some point in time other forms of energy will actually be better than oil and gas. But where we are today, particularly with natural gas, as clean as it is, they're amazing, have an amazing ability to make our world better. And think about if you really sit down and think about what the world would be like without petroleum products, oil and gas, and the things that are produced from them, we'd be back in the dark ages. So it's been very valuable to the United States, to Texas, and to the world. So anyway, all of that, kind of how it affects land and everything, it's a fascinating subject, and again, could spend hours and weeks on it real easily to begin to cover it. And my knowledge is better than some, but there's still limits to it, obviously. So anyway, any questions on that, or you want to talk more about it as you get ready to look at properties, just give me a call. RoyZesch.REALTOR, 325-268-0775. Thank you.